Hey everyone out there, we hope your training is going well and you are finding peace and happiness and excitement through your martial arts wherever you train around the world. We're here at the dojo in Cincinnati, Ohio. We're in between classes right now. We don't have classes. I had one at noon and then I have another at 4 tonight, so we have a couple hours. So I want to do a frequently asked questions video. I'm looking at my computer screen right now of questions that people have sent in and asked us to answer. So hopefully this can help some people out there on the internet. Fakri Manganti, and excuse me if I mess up your names, from Jakarta. He wrote, Sensei, how can I join your group? I'm actually a first Dan Bujinkan with Japan certificate. I very much like your training. I am far from Indonesia. Fakri, you can only join our group by coming to train with us, unfortunately. We have a dojo in Cincinnati. It's the only one around. We're not affiliated with any group, so to speak, although we're friends with everyone in the Ninpo community and many other martial arts as well. I'm also friends with local martial artists of all different kinds. I have friends in the MMA, friends in Taekwondo, friends in Chinese martial arts, karate, aikido, kung fu. We're all brotherhoods around here. I really make it a point to become friends with those in your area. So when people come to my dojo and they don't want Japanese martial arts, they want to do Chinese, I send them across town to my friend. If someone wants some sort of specialization that I just don't teach, if they want to ground and pound each other and compete, I send them to my friend in the mixed martial arts area. So you can't join our group, unfortunately, from Jakarta. We don't have a dojo there. You can watch our YouTube videos, but what you're seeing on YouTube is just a very, very, very undescribably small sliver of what we do here. And usually the videos that we record are only on Wednesday night Budo class, which is a very classical class when invites, it's when you're fighting in armor, so it's not at all. Almost nothing I show is in our regular everyday curriculum, where we have 60 to 70 techniques of pure modern combat that we just don't show on the internet. So unfortunately, first Dan in Bujinkan, very good. Keep up your training there. Get to Japan if you can, and just try to train on your own. Find a training group. That's what I would suggest. Next question, Zaknafane Dourin. What a cool name. Great demonstration. Would you ever consider doing an instructional video for Junan Taiso? I think it would be great, since it's something people can do on their own at home to prepare for or enhance their training. Junan Taiso is the art of stretching the body, making the body supple for your martial art training. I'm by no means an expert in that. I'm much older than most of you out there, I'm sure. I'm overweight. I need to work on that more. I am very flexible for my size, but I would not be an authority in teaching flexibility to people. I would suggest take yoga of some sort. They're the real masters. I do stretch every single day, and that's what fights away a lot of injuries and sickness. And I stretch a lot, but I'm by no means an expert on that. So for Junan Taiso, we do that here at the dojo, but we're not a yoga studio, so if you really want to get strong in your body, take yoga. That's my suggestion. Jim writes, where did you get that ninja toe? He's talking about a sword cleaning video. Most of the swords that I have about 50 in my collection, or most of them are junk. Most of them are EI blades that are not sharp that we use for fighting and stuff like that. There wasn't really a ninja toe in history. When you think about it, there's no such thing as a ninja sword, because a ninja wouldn't be running around in the old days with a ninja sword, or they would kill him and arrest him. So a ninja sword, so to speak, is a modern day tag. I would say that the ninja of old, although none of us were there, so we don't know history, the ninja would have had a katana. He may or she may have modified it somewhat, but there's no such thing as a ninja sword technically. They're all just would have been katana back then, as far as my history research is done. So where did I get the ninja toe? You can go online and find all kinds of ninja swords, so to speak. They're okay. I prefer a katana because of the curvature of the blade. It cuts better. Ninja toe is pretty fun because it's better balanced, and you can stab better with it in the pieces of the armor that are opening. But you can get them online. Don't buy a cheap sword. You get what you pay for in life. Let me say that again. Everything in your life that you pay for, you get what you pay for. If you pay $50 for something, it's going to break. It's going to injure you. If you pay $5 for a meal versus $50, you're going to get what you pay for. So remember that rule. Don't spend anything less than a couple $100s on a good sword. Johan Hofner asks, do you teach Copal Jitsu and Jutai Jitsu? Yes, we do at our dojo. Copal Jitsu is not just breaking bones, it's the art of affecting the opponent with your structure. It's the art of affecting your opponent with your skeletal structure against theirs. So Copal bone Jitsu, the art of, doesn't just mean breaking bones, it means affecting their skeletal structure, taking their balance with your skeletal structure. It's very powerful, very unique to our martial art. Jutai Jitsu is the art of kind of throwing the body. Yes, we do that all the time. Matter of fact, this Saturday we have a seminar on ground fighting for 2.5 hours, and in March I'm running a seminar on the 8 basic throws of Budo, which is all Jutai Jitsu, these fantastic throws. Not like judo where it's a sport. This is more rudimentary, how to take the opponent to the ground. Because in armor, fighting back then, you would want to take your opponent to the ground so that you could dispatch them with your tanto. There was no point system at all. That's a much later derivation of Jutai Jitsu. But yes, we do teach that. Last night we did Copal Jitsu and Budo class, focusing on the shuto, and we did Kopi, the kata from the Koto Ryu, and of course Ganseki Naga, Ganseki Osai, Ganseki Ori. All of these different throws that we do are very powerful. Gerbino writes, as far as the sword video, you lost me as soon as he said he doesn't care about the traditional ways of swordsmanship. I don't know when I said that. It's possible I said that. But I do care about the traditional ways of swordsmanship if they apply to the fight. I'm not a traditionalist that way. There are some schools that will practice no-to, and they will take hours to show you where to put your thumb on the blade. I'm more of a pragmatist. I just like to get the job done. So a lot of the videos you see with me with a sword is not going to be proper and fancy. It's going to be no-holds-barred stuff. So I do care about the traditional ways of swordsmanship. I respect them immensely. I've been studying them for 40 years. But having said that, if they're junk, I jettison, I throw it away. Some of the stuff I've seen in sword schools is so unbelievably traditional that it ruins any type of realism. Again, these were meant for fighting people in armor. So if I need to use a sword like a hammer, or if I need to use a sword like an ice pick, I will do that. I'm not going to be a beautiful practitioner that looks beautiful in EI, but can't fight when someone's rushing them or 2 people are rushing them. That's just my opinion. I respect people that will take the time and do Bato Jitsu and spend hours and hours doing EI. It's a beautiful art form. It's fantastic for the mind and discipline. But it really just depends on the teacher. You have to find a teacher that you like. Eric from Los Angeles writes, was the candle cutting trick sped up in any way to make it faster? Eric, no, the candle cutting EI, that was just a fun thing I did. It was not sped up in any way. It is a trick. It's not a trick as in trying to trick people. It's just a speed device, and I've been doing that for many years. Does it have a place in a battle? I don't know. It's just practicing how to draw the sword quickly and cut something fun, like the blade of like a candle or something, a flame or something that's hard to cut, because if you do it just wrong, you'll break the candle or you'll break the sword or whatever it is. So that's just a fun exercise I do. It doesn't really apply to any fight or anything. It just keeps my speed up, and it's really good concentration to have the blade at the right level, right angle and stuff like that. So it's not a trick, but it's certainly not something you would use in battle. Although the art of EI is an entire art form, so you could use the fast drawing to defend yourself. Just a fun thing. Next question, Justin Kukul. This is regarding the sword video that we put out that's somewhat gone viral. I don't know how many, I think it has 100,000 or almost 100,000 hits. I don't know why. It's just a small class we did with 2 moves in it. It's nothing fancy. But this person writes, at the 4-minute mark, you could also just take a step forward and stab him directly in the chest. You could sever either shoulder or neck strike, all of which would be easier than going for a slice to the hand or the wrist, and would do more damage. Though, if the person is still active after being stabbed in the chest, they could land a lethal blow before they die if you are that close to them. And then this next person writes, true, but the wrist is the closest target that would be necessary to fight if done with speed. Taking that step to the side gives you a lot more momentum as you draw and pull down with your body as you counterweight. I see what you are saying. From the teacher's pragmatic style or view, I can see how both of that particular sidestep wrist and the hand is the safest and easiest target instead of that moving forward to hit one of the targets you mentioned. But hey, like you said, if it gets the job done. There's too much speculation about the sword video. It's just a video on the sword. Don't look into it too deeply. People who watch martial art videos on YouTube have a very natural habit of saying, well, what if he did that? What if he did this? You have to understand that when I'm doing a video, it's in the middle of a class. I'm teaching one small point to someone. Of course, there are 1,000 what ifs. What if he moves here? What if I had pizza for lunch? What if I was missing my left arm? What if my sword fell apart? What if he had a grenade? What if I had heartburn? All these things are factors that we can't answer in a 1-minute, 2-minute video. I enjoy people speculating on the internet about my thoughts and how I'm teaching, but you're not here. Unless you're a student of mine, you know how I teach. So anything that I say in a video is almost always going to be out of context because the classes are an hour long. If you're seeing 5 minutes, you're only seeing a piece. And we don't record the parts where we're all training. Usually it's recording just me saying something. And I might have been saying something at that moment because the situation demanded it, or my uke moved a certain way. Yes, there are better targets than others. What if we're fighting in armor? The whole thing changes. What if we're using different weapons? The whole thing changes. What if the ground is different? It changes. There are so many factors that it's absolutely impossible to limit a video. So when you watch a video, take it for what it is, but it's just a surface teaching of something we're showing. It's not anything that we're going to hold to the flame because these things change depending on the situation. But thank you for the comments. JDM Sword writes, I doubt they would be using live blades for practice. We don't use live blades for practice. We never have. That's stupid. So if anyone's writing that they're using live blades, they don't know what they're talking about. I use live blades for Iaido because I'm only risking myself. I will not use a live blade with another person unless I absolutely trust them. It would have to be 2nd, 3rd, 4th degree minimum for us to get out live blades. We have done that, but it's closed. No one's going to record that. But it's very rare I'll use a live blade with another person because it's very dangerous. I don't care how good you think you are with the sword. None of us are that good, and we can slip. Even worse, our uke can slip, and with a live blade you can damage or hurt yourself very badly. So all of the swords you see in the videos are Iaito. They're not sharp. Sometimes they're steel, sometimes they're aluminum alloy. I prefer steel blades because they're harder, they don't bend as much. The aluminum alloy blades are very cheap, and you get what you pay for. So we do not use live blades. I don't ever recommend that. That's just not intelligent. Kyle Anderson writes, I cut my thumb almost clean off trying to throw a sword and catch it. I was alone and I had to call 911. I was about 16 years old. I since sold my swords and now I'm just a swordless samurai. Aren't we all, Kyle? We're all Ronin in our own way. That brings up a story about safety. Again, don't use live blades. I was younger than Kyle. I was about 14 when I had a sword once. It was a ninja sword. I don't have one here. Ninja sword. But I used them so much that they would break. The plastic, the same was plastic. It would break. The wrapping would come off the tsuka, the tsuba, the guard would fall off. I would just destroy my swords because I was a stupid kid. But I had a ninja toe, so to speak, and the tsuba, the guard, fell off. This is a tsuba, is this part here of the sword. Well, that fell off in the woods somewhere, and I would play with the sword, and I remember foolishly holding the sword and stabbing a big oak tree. I stabbed it because that was my enemy back then. When I was 14, I didn't have any training partners. I'd stab the tree, and grossly my hands went right up the blade. And I was so shocked. The second I opened my hands, I could see a cut almost to the bones, and blood pooled. A lot of pain, but not till later, because you go into shock first. So obviously I dropped my sword. The good news about a cut on the inside of your hands is if you close your hands, it kind of tourniquets it off. But I ran home, told my mother, she helped me with it. Didn't have to go to the hospital. It wasn't as bad as I thought, but they were vicious cuts. But obviously the moral of the story, like Kyle, is don't use a real sword for that. People don't realize that the guard, the tsuba, is not just to protect my hands from the blade, but also to protect my hands from sliding onto the blade. And I was a stupid kid, and I slid my hands onto the blade. So the moral is, if you don't have a tsuba guard, be careful. Be very careful. Don't be a dumb teenager. Is there such a thing as a smart one? I don't know. You know what I mean by that. Patrick in Cork, Ireland, writes, "Great job, Sensei. Greetings from Ireland. How long does it take to earn a black belt at your dojo?" In our dojo, it takes 4 to 7 years. I've had someone go as long as 9 years before they got their black belt. Each dojo is different. Our martial art in this dojo is very strict. We have a lot of testing, a lot of requirements that you must do. Unlike a lot of schools I know that are belt factories, they call them McDojos, where you just, every month you get your new certificate and belt, and that's a business practice to keep people involved. We don't do that here. You will get your black belt when you earn it, and not a minute before. And by earning it, you have to have your blood, sweat, and tears on the mat for a minimum of 4 to 5 years. Treat this martial art like a college degree. It's not something we do occasionally. It's a way of life. If you treat it that way, the time will fly, and by the time you blink, you'll have your black belt. Because 5 years in Budo is nothing. 10 years is nothing. 20 years is nothing. 35 years, like I've been doing it, is nothing. We're still learning every single day. So I don't wear my black belt in class, if you've noticed that on videos. I haven't worn my belt since 2006, 2007, because I believe wearing the belt promotes ego. So I just wear a loose kimono or a gi top, but I don't wear my belt very rarely unless it's a ceremony or something. I don't wear my black belt at all. I just believe that it's an ego booster, and I try not to care because I'm a white belt student, always learning. So it takes 4 or 5 years in our dojo minimum, and then 2 to 3 between each degree after that if you stick with it. Remember, earning your black belt in our school just means you learn the fundamentals. By no means an expert, and you can never be a master. After Shodan, you're now ready to see the deeper teachings. We trust you enough to show you some of the harder techniques, the longer flows. We counter things. We do advanced weaponry and mind science, stuff that you're not going to see. I am not going to teach someone who's been here for 3 months or 1 year or 2 years the deeper secrets of Budo. I just wouldn't do that. It must be earned. And I feel bad for those people who get black belts or buy them in the mail that haven't earned them, or who are at a school that gives you your black belt after 2 years. It's an insult. Jonah Washburn writes, "Speaking of chained weapons, could you guys please do a video on the Kusarigama, Kyoketsu Shoge, or Kusari Fundo?" We have done videos on the Fundo, which is the weighted chain of the samurai. Kusarigama and the Shoge I don't use much because they're very odd weapons. The Kusarigama and the Kyoketsu Shoge, they're like the rings with the pieces of rope and the sickle or scythe at the end that you use. Very bizarre battlefield weapons. I do know some things about them. I'm certainly not an expert at them. And I would need to do that outdoors. Maybe next summer we could do something with it. I don't really teach that because no one off the street wants to know about that. You, Jonah, are obviously interested in these exotic weapons. I could show you some stuff about them, but I don't use them in here because they're just not practical when I'm going to Target or Walmart or something. I'd rather teach a knife defense or something like that. But I love the weapons. I grew up as a kid. If you watch the Musashi series with Mifune, there's 3 of those. I think it's the 3rd movie, the opening scene with the guy with the Kusarigama fighting Toshiro Mifune. What a great scene. Boy, was that fantastic. So practice with that. Be careful. You can hit yourself with the ring, knock yourself out. But I don't teach much on those. Maybe one day we'll do that. Aaron from Texas writes, what age did you start martial arts? I was about 11 when I started, Aaron. And I started Weichi Ryu Karate in Massachusetts when I was 13. And then I found Budo Ninjutsu at probably age 10. But there was no internet back then, no videos. The only thing I had was books. So about age 12 or 13, I started getting really involved in that. Started to travel to Ohio and parts of the U.S. when I was 15, whether that was with Mr. Hayes or Hatsumi Sensei or the other Shihan. I would travel wherever there was a seminar, and I would learn and then go back home, fly back and forth or drive back and forth. We had weekend seminars where we would train, and then we would go home, work on the material, go back 3 months later and train again. We did not have a full-time dojo back then. The Boston Ninpo Dojo, which Mark Davis runs now, is still there. It's a great school. If you're in Boston, go see Mark Davis. He's one of my original teachers, and I love him. He's a fantastic teacher. But I started with him in 1985, 1986, somewhere in there. And of course, I'm still training every day at my dojo. I just finished a DVD, which will be out in March, on mind science. What is mind science? More of like meditation. It's a DVD on how to meditate. It's a DVD on finding happiness. In our dojo, which is a bit unique, we work a lot on how to use martial art principles in the boardroom or at home, in relationships with friends, with family. How do I use self-protection principles in a non-physical way, mentally, spiritually, whatever it might be? So this DVD that I'm producing right now has 8 secrets to how to be a more happy person. It's a self-help DVD. And then I also guide a meditation. We talk about death and dying. We talk about some difficult subjects, things that we all go through in life that we need help on. I'm by no means an expert on this. I'm not some Tony Robbins or anyone or Oprah. It's just things that I've learned from teachers from around the world and certain meditation practices that I find are valid in a secular society. So they're not religious in any way. Anyone can do them. And by meditating, I'm a better martial artist. I'm a better person. I don't get angry very rarely. I don't get sad or depressed. So these tips in this DVD that's coming out in March of this year, 2017, is just several teachings of me talking about things that help me. And hopefully they can help people out there as well. I don't know. It'll be available on Amazon and probably off our school website. That's it for now. I've been yakking too long and I have to get vacuuming. Yes, I run a large dojo and I still have to vacuum the floors every day. Cleaning is part of the martial arts, especially in a dojo where we're training every day, like we just did ground fighting an hour ago. We're sweating. You'd be surprised at how much lint comes off gis and how much stuff comes off people, skin cells and gross things. So cleaning, I don't care how big you think you are, if you're not mopping the floors, you're not a true martial artist. We have to clean all the time. Everything has to be cleaning. My employee says, what can I do to help? I said, attack the dust. The dirt is everywhere. So that happens in our houses too. I think cleaning is a really good martial art exercise. It keeps you stretched and it focuses your attention. So I have to vacuum before class starts. But thank you all for writing in. We really appreciate these questions. We hope our channel continues to help people out there and inspire them to continue in whatever martial art you're doing. Continue your training, enjoy, become friends with everybody. Become buyu, which are friendships in Budo. We want to make sure we keep this channel clean for children. Don't spew out too much hatred on the channel. Try to be friends with everybody and try to make this world a better place. We can agree now that the world is sometimes factioning and fracturing apart. As martial art brothers and sisters, we need to hold it together. Through the art of Budo, we can become better people. So good luck in your training. Continue with your training groups, continue with your solo training, and we'll have another one of these maybe next quarter. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, domo arigato gozaimashita. Have a good day.